All right, whenever you're ready, gentlemen.
Harambe, he was more than a gorilla. He was a phenomenon. The reception to the death of Harambe was completely blown out of proportion, receiving over-the-top analysis from animal activists and the mass media, as well as becoming an internet phenomenon. The Cincinnati Zoo made their best efforts to save a child who fell in Harambe's exhibit, but media dramatized the event, saying the gorilla's life was more important than the child's. Harambe was a gorilla at the Cincinnati Zoo. A little boy fell in Harambe's exhibit on May 28, 2016. Harambe dragged the boy around in the exhibit. Zookeepers shot Harambe to protect the boy. The Cincinnati Zoo was forced to respond to the public's reaction. Much of the media criticized the zoo for shooting Harambe. The Cincinnati Zoo created a page on the website talking about Harambe. This is a screenshot of the page, and you see we talk about all sorts of stuff involving Harambe and other gorillas at the zoo. One section of the page talks about other gorillas in the zoo, and those gorillas are Chewy and Mara. They are doing fine after Harambe was shot, as the zoo says. People have questions about that. The zoo first tried to save the boy using non-lethal options. One of Harambe's caretakers first tried to call him out of the exhibit. Harambe did not respond, so they had to resort to shooting him. He was not tranquilized because a tranquilized dart might have startled him and would not have put him to sleep right away, and he could have harmed the child easily. The barrier that the boy crossed was considered safe. More than 43 million people over the last 23 years have viewed the exhibit and had not fallen in. A new 42-inch barrier was put in to reassure the public of their safety. The gorilla exhibit was closed after Harambe was shot and then reopened on June 7, 2016. And this information came from the Cincinnati Zoo website under the Harambe Facts page. Video. This is after the child fell in the exhibit. The mother is dragging him around.
And this is just a picture of a memorial for Harambe at the zoo.
So the news coverage of the Harambe incident was very extensive. Wood describes the people and groups that control the flow of information to the public as gatekeepers. This concept can be easily connected to the newspapers, as they do also control the flow of flow of information to the public along with what they show. While the different news corporations may not have been initially responsible for making Harambe an internet phenomenon, they did help to introduce many people to the incident. This concept of gatekeeper, as described by Wood, can be shown through the New York Times, a popular news organization which was one of the first to cover the incident. The first article on the New York Times website was published on May 29th, day after Harambe was shot. This article, titled "Gorilla Killed After Child Enters Enclosure at Cincinnati Zoo," summed up the event truthfully and continued on to explain some of the zoo's reaction. The article also highlighted some of the major arguments over who was responsible for the incident and if the right decision was carried out, which this could have sparked more discussion over the topic. The first article did not make fun of the accident, but due to it and many other similar articles and news feeds, the news of Harambe was widely spread to a large group of people. The news did not necessarily tell the story in a way that caused it to be blown out of proportion, but the extensive and continued coverage of the event did help to contribute to it. Searching Harambe in the New York Times website generated 46 separate articles from the past 12 months. The oldest article was from May 29th, 2016, and the most recent was from February 22nd. The New York Times was not the only news organization that had extensive coverage of the event either. Fox News, another well-known organization, published 42 separate articles concerning mentioning or referencing Harambe. And the oldest article by Fox News was also published on May 29th, titled "Cincinnati Zoo Kills Gorilla to Protect Small Child Enclosure." It was also similar to the article published by the New York Times. Once again, the amount of news coverage helps show the extent of which this got out of hand. And just to show this point even further, searching through a third news organization resulted in much of the same information. CBS News, another news organization that is widely known, published nearly 70 articles about Harambe in the past 12 months. This shows the ridiculous, extensive discussion and coverage of things related to Harambe. These separate news organizations help to emphasize how out of hand the news on Harambe became. These findings may seem a little bit repetitive, but it helps to show that it wasn't just one. It was a very continued and just average, or not, but it was definitely prevalent. Also, this shows, once again, how widespread the incident was. It is unreasonable to think that a single dead gorilla still appeared in the news articles nearly a year after his death. And take this in mind, these news organizations continue to post articles about one single dead gorilla nearly a year after it happened.
Interest in Harambe was not only present in the news media, but also the mass and social media of the internet. The interest in Harambe on the internet was enormous following his death, despite little to no interest in him prior to the incident. Google Trends, an application of Google, showed results from their search engine as users searched about Harambe and related topics. This is a graph from Google Trends that shows prior to Harambe's death, interest in Harambe was like non-existent. It was seemingly non-existent with 0% of maximum searches, leading up to exactly the day that he was shot, which is the 28th, which is right here. And then following the following week, which was the day after he was shot, and the days following, 75% of maximum searches were for Harambe. And then searches for Harambe memes were also prevalent, being the #1 related search topic according to Google's data. As seen in this graph, searches for Harambe memes became popular immediately following the incident, and then they had a slight decline and steadily rose, and then they jumped, almost doubling, following a statement from the Cincinnati Zoo regarding the memes. According to an article from Time News magazine, a major news organization, the zoo issued a statement following, almost 3 months following the incident, saying, "We are not amused by the memes, petitions, and signs about Harambe. Our zoo family is still healing, and the constant mention of Harambe makes moving forward more difficult for us." While the Cincinnati Zoo may have intended to lower the interest in Harambe, this statement actually made it worse, with searches for Harambe memes almost doubling the following week. So here's the week before, and then they made the statement, and this was the giant spike that followed the statement. The sheer number of searches for Harambe-related pictures and information was not the only internet phenomenon to revolve around the silverback gorilla. Following Harambe's death, there was an abundance of ridiculous movements formed and petitions presented. An article from BBC, a well-known and respected news station, reported that shortly after the incident occurred, an online Facebook group called Justice for Harambe was created and called for the mother of the child to be held accountable. Many petitions, some more ridiculous than others, were presented online and signed by thousands of supporters. One petition to make sure that the mother was held accountable for Harambe's death garnered over 300,000 signatures. One other petition, aimed at the U.S. Department of the Treasury, got over 18,000 signatures and suggested that Harambe be put on the dollar bill. This was a petition on change.org, which is a place where you can submit petitions and have people sign. Another petition from that website claimed that Harambe deserves to live on forever in our hearts, and proposed that Pokemon be created in his honor. This petition got over 124,000 signatures. In comparison, a petition to stop puppy mills and the treatment of animals at these mills received fewer than 100,000 signatures. Even though this puppy mill petition is for a cause that may be seen as more reasonable and important than a Harambe petition, it still received fewer signatures than a petition about a dead gorilla. As social media and the internet as a whole exploded with emotions over the death of a previously unknown gorilla, the aspects of communication were blatant and obvious. One of the more obvious aspects of communication was the demonstration of the uses and gratification theory. According to this theory, humans according to Wood, choose to attend mass communication to gratify ourselves. This may be applied to the Harambe phenomenon, as a variety of people took part in the growth and coverage of the event. Some people use the mass and social media on the internet to gratify themselves by arguing for the rights of Harambe and about the safety of the child and future children to visit. This may have made them feel better, as they may have been concerned about both the safety of the animal in the zoo enclosures as well as the safety of other visitors, especially children. Others may have used the media of the internet to create simple entertainment by making jokes about the gorilla's death. Many memes involving Harambe flooded the internet, ranging from jokes about Harambe's importance to making fun of the child and his family. So here are a couple examples. This is one making fun of the child. As you can see, things I couldn't wait to jump into as a kid. And they have like a trampoline, a bounce house, a ball pit, and a gorilla exhibit. And then I got that from this website just to get the picture off of it. Just to show the outrageous emotion that was over the gorilla, whether it be for fun or serious. I got that from The Guardian. And then this one's a joke about Harambe's importance, comparing Gorilla Glue to Harambe holding together our nation. Some Harambe memes took the idea of Harambe's existence to a whole... While these memes provided a real example of a communication phenomenon, some memes took the joke even further, possibly violating some boundaries in the process. Some Harambe memes took the idea of Harambe's existence to a whole new level, with some pictures depicting him as the Savior. Pictures of Harambe crucified on a cross and comparing him to Christ were posted online, possibly causing concern with idolatry and blasphemy. Here's an example comparing him to Jesus, saying that he died for our needs. As Jesus died for our sins. I'm sorry, I'm laughing, it's just ridiculous. Here's Harambe the angel. Again, ridiculous. And this is the worst one. This is Harambe crucified, comparing him to Christ, which is just wrong on so many levels. This violates God's will, as it contradicts multiple verses in the Bible. Exodus 20 verse 4 says, "You shall not make for yourself a carved image or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth." This verse commands man to not create idols or make comparisons between anything on earth and God himself. Psalm 81:9 also condemns it, saying, "There shall be no strange God among you, you shall not bow down to a foreign God." Harambe being depicted as and equated with Christ can certainly be seen as possibly bordering upon the worship of foreign gods.
The shooting of Harambe and the drama that followed was created by the media. The Cincinnati Zoo strives to provide safe exhibits, and online and written media dramatized Harambe's death. Harambe was only a gorilla that was shot to protect a little boy's life.
Okay, thank you very much.